Hello, everybody. I am Asta, and I am back with my Chatting with series. This is episode 8 today, and I've got KRIS CARR. And if you're enjoying this series, I would so appreciate it if you thumbs up, comment, subscribe, share, rewatch as many times as you can. And, let me know what you want to see and who you'd like me to see talk to. On that note, I am joined by my lovely friend, and we actually went to, I wanted to say high school, but like
we went to junior high together.
We went to junior high together in the Woodlands, Texas. So it's been a minute, and we're on either coast. You're my first West Coast person, and yeah, how are you doing today, KRIS?
I'm doing great, dude. How are you?
I'm wait a second. I'm fine. This is
perfectly framed in there. Well done. There you go.
If I'm being like a perfectionist, it's not. There we go. But you get it. Yeah.
That is the mood of 2020.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a dumpster fire for about 4 years now. So.
Right. I feel very, very stupid for ever blaming the year at this point.
Yeah.
Because now 2020 is just like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. Whew. Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's going to be this like, hippie year of like perfect perspective, but maybe it will in its own way. Maybe people are realizing that, we're all growing and we're all having trauma responses at the same time. Some people just, are a little more ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Take it at your own pace. It's all good.
Yeah. And, speaking of being ahead of the curve, you are such a badass. KRIS, you've been doing everything from voiceover work to commercials to feature films, series, and you are, like I was talking to her before, a one-woman, like, show army, I don't know, like a woman force to be reckoned with. Like, how did you, that takes a lot of inner drive to like want to make sure that you get your content done. Like how do you, I guess the question is like your North Star, what are your guiding principles that make you such a go-getter,
Well, first of all, thank you. That's so nice. That's really sweet to hear. I guess the kind of running theme through anything, creatively or otherwise, has, and this sounds really cheesy, but is Mr. Rogers, that idea of find the helpers, and if you can't find them, be one. And so taking everything you do from a place of service, right? Yes. How can I serve a story? How can I help others? How can I do this? And that's not to say like I'm void of being selfish or anything incredibly selfish. Yeah. As honestly you should be, because you need to take time for yourself. But most of the time, getting things done or moving forward is just, how can I do something else that's going to make a positive impact on somebody?
Yeah.
Which I know sometimes feels silly when you're thinking about, doing comedy or making some jokes or reporting on cartoons. Yeah. But they're little things that if it makes one person's day better, then you've done something, Yeah. And I think that's just kind of the goal at the end of the day, is just impact one human being positively, and then everything else should kind of fall into place for you.
Yeah, that's really well put. And I think that when I was getting ready to do this channel, I really had to assess that, because I didn't want it to be about me. I wanted it to be about like, well, what strengths do I have? And I always find strength in the people that I know, because you guys are resources, you are interesting people. And if I can put a spotlight on that, like, it makes me feel good to share you in a kind of self-serving, selfish way. But that's also, reciprocal altruism. It's this idea that like kind of putting something out, it comes back to you in its own way, because we are all connected,
100%. Life's basically just a boomerang, right? You're gonna get what you put into it.
Yeah.
So doing this and having conversations with your friends, at the very least, you and your friends are feeling good. Like we were chatting before this happened, is making my whole day. It's so nice to interact with a human being.
I know. You have to really reassess what it is to do that kind of connection. And I think, if anything, I've just lifted the veil of this idea that I have to be in the same place, or my work schedule allows me to see, like, well, I'm I'm unemployed, so I'm going to talk to my friends in LA, in the UK, anywhere. And, you know, I'm so grateful to talk to you, and especially because you've been a resource for what's been really important for a lot of freelancers right now. Myself in particular, I'm still being sent out for voiceover work, print work. I had to do a national commercial audition in my own home, in my pajamas, which was very interesting. And you recommended to me, I'm gonna mess it up unless I read it. It's this, I'll put a link in my description, but it's this Audio Technica USB mic, which it's just like really great. Do you have any other recommendations for like people who are kind of in this position, like to be their own business right now?
Absolutely. I mean, it's crazy times, right? And especially if you are in a creative field, if you are acting or doing anything like that, definitely this is the time to bulk up your home studio needs. And you don't have to go crazy on it too. You know, we're a ridiculous household because we're both performers. So we've got 4 mics, I've got a ring light, I've got all this stuff. Work on your self-tape setups right now. Mine literally is a gray blanket clamped to a stand that I pop in front of here. And it looks great and it looks really pro because yeah, you're gonna have tons of stuff right now where you have to submit and look professional, and you don't want to give casting directors a reason to skip over your tape, as silly as that sounds.
Yeah.
If they're looking at 8,000 submissions, yours has to look pretty pro from your home.
Yeah.
So the Audio Technica is amazing. Voiceover, you're going to see a huge boom in because animation is going to be much more feasible to get done right now too. Same with commercials and everything. Audio Technica's Blue Snowballs are a really great starter mic. There is a great program called Audacity that's an open sourced editor that you can use. So you don't have to break the bank doing any of this stuff. You just need to learn that things are out there and how to start using them. And if you have the free time, it's a great time to start learning how to edit, how to light yourself, how to talk into a mic, and just, you know, the hang loose. That's the easiest thing with your mic. Just be about this far apart from it.
Yep. And you even told me that I could just, instead of investing in a pop filter, I could just put like a sock.
Yeah, you can put a sock over it, which I've got this ridiculous red athletic sock over mine. And so when I take pictures in the booth, it really just looks like I'm talking into a weird dog penis. It's very upsetting to see, but it gets the job done.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, I have like a big ring light, which I'll link all these things that I can remember to link, that I use for self-tapes and like different shoots for my agency. And then a friend of mine, I was trying to get like a smaller one for like this setup or like different interviews and like Skype auditions that I've had to do. And I actually found this, and it's a clip that it's like a selfie-like clip that you put you can put on your phone, but I just clip it to my computer. And it's rechargeable. It's got 3 intensity settings. You can also use the white on the screen of your computer, or you could use any color actually as a way to kind of filter or make yourself look depending the style. And I'm using that right now to kind of think about how to shoot like more creative stuff. But yeah, there's so many things out there, and I think that no matter what ends up happening, we're all going to have to find ways to adapt to ways to pandemic proof our artistic careers.
Absolutely. And you know, the counter side to this too is it is totally okay to not do these things right now. If this sounds so overwhelming, it's totally cool. You know, you and I are both more high-strung individuals, so we need things to do. We need stuff to do and projects to do.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, like when I was, you know, talking with KRIS, I was talking with her earlier in our conversation before the record button went on, and the first few weeks, I just kind of felt like Bill Murray, like in Groundhog Day, because this time last year, I was on 6 to 8 week bed rest, couldn't do anything, was literally just poring over in reflection, rewatching the same movies. I had my mom here kind of as my nurse, and I was forcing her to watch any movie that I didn't think she could get away with watching with my dad because he doesn't like scary movies. So I rewatched like A Quiet Place, Get Out. Like it was like, now I'm like, okay, I had a breakdown for a little bit, and then now I'm just like, okay, mobilize, try to be the helper in the only way I know how. So that, I mean, it's, you say, you know, we're like this, but I know that it's not been easy for you. It's not been easy for me or anybody, but like, we have these moments, and we can inject strength into each other, and we can find ways. And another thing that you've been a great resource for is the fact that you are so passionate about something that I'm really passionate about too, which is nourishment and sustainability. And you put all these recipes. I know you've gone through the gamut with your food allergies and things. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about like things that you want people to know that they can do about keeping themselves in quarantine and well fed?
Sure, absolutely. When I got my test results too, I kept thinking about how hard it was for you when we went and got sushi in Burbank, and just, is there soy sauce in this? Is there this in this? Can I eat this?
Yeah.
And because it's a minefield when you start doing it. And for the longest time too, because I have intolerances, not full-blown allergies that are going to really mess me up, it was, well, this is just a vanity thing, isn't it? I mean, I can eat whatever in quarantine. I'll just be a little uncomfortable. And that's so not the case. It is so horrible when you do that. So I really urge people to really stick to what doctors tell them to eat and everything, and not eat. But the great thing about right now is that not only do you have the resources to support your local businesses and get food from them, you can also be cooking at home. And in either situation, you can set yourself up for no waste.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you know this about me. I've basically been living like a World War II wife my whole life. I've got fat jars. I'm like, pickle it, save the bones. What are you doing? And so a lot of great things you can do, especially if you're trying to increase your gut health or things like that. Make yourself bone broth if you are somebody who eats animals. Save those bones. Just boil that up. You're going to have a delicious broth. That's going to save you money too. It's going to make you feel better. Don't throw anything away. Save the ends of your food. Put them in a bag in your freezer. Throw that in there. That's another stock bag for you. And you can put literally everything in a stew, in a curry, in a chili.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I actually mentioned that in my, I have a recipe in a cookbook right now called Quarantine Cuisine. And I put that in the recipe book that I was like, well, people always ask me for my chili recipe because I've made it several times, but it's never exactly the same because it's kind of dependent on like what I have. And like, you could sneak in like the ends of the broccoli that aren't the florets, like the ends of the crown, and like all sorts of things. So it ends up being like, you know, like for me, paella and things like that, like it's just like what you have. It's what you have. So I think having that attitude is something that I culturally, like, and for my family was already starting to have, but definitely you inspired me to like go a step further and go, is this edible though? Like, can I, like Clay eats the skin on kiwis. So
whoa, that's awesome.
He's next level. I don't know what that was.
Hello.
Earlier when KRIS joined me in the meeting, she had this like Star Wars made up name, and
we were Logi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Crisius.
Yes,
we're real cool.
Yeah, I was like convinced that I was being Zoom bombed, so it's like a perpetual fear of mine that I'm going to be Zoom bombed.
So I'm just going to pop in.
Please
don't chat roulette us.
Oh my God, please don't. Oh God. Oh my God.
I don't know what anything is anymore.
I don't know. I feel like so behind the times. I'm just figuring out like TikTok and all of that. And
I don't understand any of it. I was coupled before it was okay to do dating apps too. So whenever people do that, I'm confused. Yeah, like you and Clay have been together forever. Anytime someone talks to me about a Tinder date, I'm like, please don't go meet that stranger. And they're like, Christine, you're being ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. Or like, I mean, and Clay and I were, you know, he's amazing, but like we met so lazily. Like we just got both cast in the same movie, and then it was like, yeah, so great. I didn't have to really make any effort on that one.
Yep.
Except for trying to avoid we had a no fraternizing clause, so we had to pretend we weren't dating for a while.
Oh, that's so juicy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was a thing, but yeah, it was fun. It was
crazy.
It was
romantic. I just met through a movie that we did with Noelle. So.
Oh, Noelle. oh, I gotta find what's going on. We used to have like a pen pal thing going on, and
Oh,
now I'm afraid to even go to the mailbox sometimes. So I don't.
it's true.
It's like it's so weird. But speaking of weird, I was talking with one of my guests last week, Amanda, about just how weird quarantine skin is, and like how stressful it is, and like I was already trying to learn more about my skin through some YouTubers that I'll link below. I love. I don't know if you watch them, Beauty Within, uh, Susan Yara from Mixed Makeup, Leah Yu, who actually owns the Crave Beauty brand that I adore their sunscreen so much. But I was already trying to like get into retinols and all, and then this happened, and I had like a pizza face for 2 days. I was freaking out. I wasn't getting my regular probiotics. How have you been? I mean, your skin is flawless all the
Thank you.
time, but what are your skincare holy grails and tips and tricks?
Oh man, that's so nice of you because I also had like a major cyst situation because of all the stress of this.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you think that you're gonna be fine, you're not seeing people, your skin's gonna breathe, and then you forget about the impending doom showing up on your face. I use Biossance, which I know you're a big fan of too.
Yes.
I'm pretty much Biossance across the board with maybe some Glow Recipe here and there, but I am obsessed with them. That is essentially all I use. And then that Aztec clay mask, which is great to use right now because
Never used it.
it makes
So scared.
oh, it's intense because your whole face pulses. And so you can't, if you wear this mask, you're not supposed to do anything that day because your face is so red. And I already always have kind of a cartoon drunk tan to myself. I'm always a little red looking. It looks like I've just been like binging early in the day. That's just, that's just my Scottish coming out. But this mask pulls everything out, which is great. And it's super cheap. And you just mix apple cider vinegar in there. But it freaks you out the first time because how often have you felt your face pulse? I mean, it's, ugh. But that's a good one. If your skin's really scary right now, I think it's like $8.
Yeah, I actually found a couple random things. One of them I linked in my last interview with Amanda, but I have like eczema and like all sorts of like weird stuff. And one of the things that I used to have, mainly when I lived in Texas, where we grew up, the water there is a little harsher. And so I used to get right here and like under my eyes and in my elbow creases and behind my knees. And anyway, I haven't had issues, but a friend of mine told me about this brand called Tower 28 that does this SOS spray. It's basically hypochlorous acid, and it's kind of like medical grade salt water, but you spray it on your face like when it's cleaned, and you let it sit, and it kind of like acts like a antibacterial, antiviral, like creates an immune response in the face. And that is like the one thing that the moment I put that in my routine, I just started noticing like it was like a kill bacteria from growing on my face. And then I talked with you about it. I know you use seed probiotics.
Yes.
And they sound amazing. I actually, when I was in the middle of doing that, I signed up for Hum. So I'll put a link here. But they have their own pre and probiotic. So I was already using Daily Cleanse, and so I'm on like week 1 of the combo, but I've been using this for a month. And but yeah, do you use seed? What other like nutrient things do you use?
I use seed mostly because I follow this nutritionist, Kelly LeVeque, who I think is just brilliant, especially because she'll break everything down scientifically for you.
Yeah.
Of, hey, I'm not doing this just so you lose weight, or the goal here is not to just flatten your tummy or something. Yeah. It's to actually cellularly make you better.
Yeah.
And so seed I'm a big fan of, and then mostly I just do smoothies and stuff. I'm so bad at taking supplements, and I really need to be better about it. But I do her smoothies so that I get, my greens and my fiber. I do acacia fiber in there, or chia seeds, and then collagen and all that kind of good stuff. Mostly for me, it's just trying to eat clean.
Yeah.
Like just trying my darn best, because sometimes I want to be garbagey.
Yeah.
But as long as like 75% of the time, I feel like I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
And then the other 25 is just, emotions and boredom.
Which is funny. It's funny. You were saying the smoothie and stuff. I want to make sure that people know that KRIS is amazing and healthy, but she's not KRIS CARR.
Not that KRIS CARR.
She's not that KRIS CARR.
And I'm not crazy sex cancer.
I'm not going to even elaborate on that. You're going to have to Google it, but she's not that KRIS CARR.
No.
She's this KRIS CARR.
I had to fight SAG over it.
Really?
Yes, they were like, there's already someone with your name. And I was like, how dare you?
No.
I'm going to stay KRIS CARR. Because they were like, just go by Chrissy. And I was like, absolutely not.
Ooh, you are not a Chrissy.
Right?
That would be...
Oh, whenever someone's called me that, Logan's whole body has just like recoiled, where he's been like, that's not my wife.
Ooh, I did not marry that. Oh my God. Oh man.
Well, thank you for that disclaimer though. Yeah.
Yeah. I needed to put it out there because I just think it's important but you know what? If you came here for that KRIS CARR and you discovered that this one is this one, I hope you're enjoying this and I hope that you like, comment, and subscribe.
All the comments just,
yes.
She's not even the skinny blonde one.
Oh my God.
I'm not.
But you've experienced the YouTube universe already. You got this great show, Nerdwire. I actually been watching a few episodes, and I had such a that's my bunny rabbit. What is okay? Sorry guys, my bunny rabbit just wanted to let me know that her hay is going to be moved over there. Okay. Anyway, I watched the episode you did on Kablam because I was like, oh, memory lane, like this is so wonderful. How did Nerdwire come about?
Well, I'm so fortunate with Nerdwire because a friend of mine was an editor for them at the time, and they just had one host, and he messaged me and said, hey, Chris, this channel I'm working for right now, they want to find another comedian, preferably somebody who's geeky. I just figured you might want to come in for it. It's like, hell yes, I do, Scott. Good instincts. And so I send them my stuff. They asked me to come in and audition by doing an original piece about One Punch Man, the anime. And they said, we want a comedian. They did not say they wanted someone geeky. I just was like, that's my ace in the hole. There we go. So I led with jokes. It went really well. We had a great time. They ended up publishing that video after I got hired. So I was met with so much hate when I first started because I was just taking the mickey out of it and not taking the show seriously. And as I'm sure you're aware, certain fandoms really lose it if you don't, treat it as the sacred thing that it is. And so I got so much backlash. My co-host Whitney had to talk about how like, Chris is great. Please don't be mad at her. She's not taking anything from me. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
But so I joined this team, and it was really, really lucky because my partner over there, Whitney Van Lanningham, is like my other half. It's creepy how much we're alike, but still very, very different. She always attributes it to us being the female John Mulaney and Pete Davidson. Like their green room picture, she was like, it's us. Yeah. But getting to work with her has really allowed us to grow a lot. We've ended up being acquired by a company called I1, which has been really amazing, and they've been keeping us afloat while we've been in this quarantine. And we just have this great tiny group of people. It's just me, Whit, our producer Brett, our editor Song, Jake, who oversees everything and makes sure that we're all not just setting fires or being ridiculous. But it's so nice over there, and it's so great to work with a whole bunch of people who are just super, super committed to their enthusiasm for geek culture and cartoons in particular. It's really, really gratifying to be around people who genuinely are excited to talk about stuff instead of just, no, I guess we got to do this. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it's so amazing. I'll put the links to all that. I highly suggest that you subscribe. And I know that y'all even gave my husband a shout out because he did a trailer, which I'll also link, hype my husband, in a Batman Beyond fan trailer thing, and he was Terry McGinnis, and it was really cute to have you hype him. And
it was so good. I missed that show too. We used to do Nerdwire News, and then it ended up becoming our Dana Carvey show, where we kept yelling, why were we canceled? Because it got to a point too where we're like, there are never snacks around, no one's talking to us, we don't think this is gonna last anymore. And so our news show got canceled, and we missed that so much. But now we get to do fun things like we've talked about Steven Universe a ton, and we've gotten to talk about you know, the LGBTQ community through that. We've gotten to talk about addiction through BoJack. We are now, well, I now get to do those nostalgia trips like Kablam, where it's just, hey, everything's kind of terrible. Do you want to revisit the 90s when you felt safe?
Yeah.
It's really cathartic to do all of these things now. Before it was always fun, and now it's, oh, thank God.
Yeah, well, like you said at the beginning, I mean, when you're in your purpose, it feels good to be of service.
Yeah.
And, you know, it never feels like you have to question why you're doing it, or your ego comes into play. You know, like I try to give myself slack every time I do an episode, because I'm like, I'm trying to make it just fun. Remember that it's fun. And on that note, I wanted to ask, what kind of message, or what do you want to tell the universe now that we're live to the world?
Gatekeeping fandoms is toxic. Don't do it.
So good. I'm gonna write that down. Yeah,
it's one of my biggest pet peeves. I hate that, and it's something I think, as you'll see in the YouTube sphere constantly, is when we're behind a keyboard and we're anonymous, we have a tendency to immediately lash out. And usually if you address those people from a place of love and understanding, oh my gosh, you must be going through something if you feel like this is an okay way to talk to someone. 9 times out of 10, they back off. They do apologize. They remember that you're an actual human being.
Yeah.
But certain fandoms, there's just this craze of, this is mine, this belongs to me, and you're a filthy casual, and I don't want to be any part of your conversation. Yeah. And I think that's so silly and so limiting, because what makes us all geeks is our excitement, right? We're so passionate about things. So why would you not want to share your passions with people? It's just weird.
I agree. And I always think about the Greeks and the Romans when they were, whatever they did different, there's so many versions of Oedipus. Mm-hmm. Asta's been seen one way or another. Like there's always different interpretations. We are telling the same stories over and over again with different emphasis on different characters and different parts of humanity. And I think that it's really important to remember that we're always evolving. And like you said, the same way you talk to someone who's kidnapped your child, remind them that they are Elizabeth, my child. Like, make her a human, because if they think of it as a thing that they possess, then they're not going to let it go.
Exactly. Do you guys witness that in the horror community? Is there that still same kind of like, this is the only kind of horror I like, or this is the only kind of style or direction?
All the time. And I think that that's going to start to change, hopefully for the good. I think like you said, if people understand that you're coming from a loving place, like you can create original work. It's, you know, when I think about the horror community, it's like it's ever evolving, and I'm hoping that they continue to bring inclusivity in a positive way, and not in a cancel culture way, but like in a way that like combines all the efforts of why we love what we love. But I think especially when it comes to things like, I don't want to hear, oh, let's get a female James Bond. I want to hear, name a new female character that has the things you liked about James Bond, but it's her own thing. Like, let's create spaces for original content so that we don't have to like fight the fandom, like you said.
Absolutely. Media isn't pie. We can have more of it. We're not going to run out of it.
I know. But thank you so much for joining me. And I think people are just going to be so grateful for all the things that you have shared with me today. And I'm grateful to just have an excuse to talk to you.
Dude, this was great. Thank you so much.
Of course. Bye. Gatekeeping fandoms is toxic.